So, our next session for this morning is about campaigns. I'd like to welcome Raphael Marek to this session. He is our manager for such solutions. Welcome, Raphael. I'm very pleased to have you today on stage. I know normally this is not your job.
That's right.
His job is much more, thinking about what our customers need and how to implement those capabilities. But campaigns relate very strongly to what Rob and Andreas have been talking about, right?
That's right, Annemarie.
Excellent.
Yes.
So I'd like to lead over to you, and thanks again.
Thank you very much for this nice introduction. So, good morning also from my side. We saw now a fantastic presentation about how easily and fast business user can, using the Papyrus Business Designer, create content for multiple channels in different languages, using features like, for example, natural language rules to define rules, which building blocks should be shown to which customer, or placeholders in the content which are filled later on with the customer data. On one side, we want to use this highly personalized content also in campaign management. And on the other side, we want to apply the same principles to empower the business users to create their own campaign processes. Let's start with the question, what triggers a campaign? Inside your company, you will have different kind of business value streams, and you would like to reach the goals of these business value streams. This can be, for example, you want to sell more. You want to increase your revenue. You want to promote a service, a new product that you introduce. You want to upsell. You want to cross-sell. You want to sell to an existing customer base or to a new prospect base. It might be necessary that you need to also inform your customers for legal reasons if something changes and you need to send a campaign to them, informing them about this. But there are also events happening in your customer lifecycle. So, for example, a contract is expiring. You might want to take this opportunity and inform your customer about his expiring contract, and doing that, you can promote also your product and offer him, for example, a discount for a phone that he can purchase by extending his contract. So all the campaigns that you send out are strongly connected to the business value streams in your company. Let's have a look what campaign management consists of. Definitely one essential part of campaign management is the contact management. The persons you want to communicate with, you want to send your campaigns to. But contact management is not just about names and email addresses that you store in a database. You want to have as much information about your customers as possible and use it to really create highly personalized content using the Papyrus Business Designer and very tailored processes that you use to deliver the content to them. Papyrus offers a lot of adapters and interfaces to import also data from external systems into the contact management that you can reuse later. If this information can be, for example, what is the preferred channel of a customer? What is the preferred language we should communicate with him? Yeah. Campaign management is also about content management. We saw in the previous presentation how easy it is to create content for multiple channels, and with the Papyrus Business Designer, we have everything that we need. Campaign management is also about the processes. On one side, the process that you use to deliver your communication to the customer. For example, you want to deliver via email. In the next step, maybe you print the document and send it. But it's also about the internal processes in your company. How business teams can request a campaign. Testing your content is also very important. On one side, you want to test your content for correctness. You want to test if you do not have any typos there, if you send out the right information. On the other side, you want to test your content also for the performance. So which variant of your content is more often open, for example, in an email, or where are more links clicked in which email version. The delivery. Once you have the content, you need to deliver the content. For this, we use the Papyrus Hub to deliver this communication across multiple channels. And you do not only want to send out the campaign, but you also want to analyze the results and feed it back into the next campaigns and maybe your sales and marketing activities. For that, we use the reporting that we saw already also in the previous presentation. So as you see, you don't need just one single tool for sending emails, one tool for sending SMS, one tool to generate the content, because this will lead you to many, many island solutions that you need to maintain separately. You need to integrate the data somehow, and you need to learn the persons how to use them. So what you need is really one fully integrated solution that supports you in your campaign management activities from end to end, starting with the planning, with the design of highly personalized content and processes that you can store in your library, designed by your business teams, over to the testing phase where you test your content for the different aspects, and you execute, you run the campaign, and you analyze the results. Papyrus offers, with the Papyrus Campaign Management, one solution which you can customize and tailor to the needs of your company, of your customers, feed it with your own content, and by that, make sure that your campaigns are performing better than the one of your competitors. So what is the big advantage of having one solution, single source, one voice as a company? On one side, it's the efficiency. You have reusable content. The content that performs good, you reuse. The content that doesn't perform so good, you maybe delete it then. You have one solution with the same usability patterns there inside. So you have natural language rules to define rules. You have placeholders that you use. By that, you have a faster learning. You have reductions in costs. And as the business teams can create content on their own and provide it to the campaign manager for sending this campaign, you have also a strongly reduced time to market till you can really send your campaign. Other benefits, having one voice as a company, increases also a lot the customer engagement. In Papyrus, the campaign process starts with the request, with the campaign request. Often it's an inspiration in the business unit that leads to an idea for a campaign, and the business unit would like to request it. But the process, how a campaign can be requested within your company, can be very specific. In some cases, it might be enough that the business team defines what is the content for the campaign, what are the recipients, provides this information to the campaign manager, he executes the campaign. In some situations, you might have different people and different teams involved in this campaign request process that need to perform different activities at different times and with different deadlines. So it might be that because of your content or for cost reasons, the channels that you pick for the recipients that you select, your campaign might require first a sign-off by the management. This process you can design also within Papyrus. And you are very flexible to define who performs which activities after which steps. Once the campaign was requested and was signed off so that it can be sent out, it goes to the design. The design of the content happens in the Papyrus Business Designer, where you can design the content for all the channels as we saw in the previous presentation and use it then to distribute it to your customers. A very key point is actually to integrate your campaign data with your business data. On one side, you have the campaign data, which is the content, which are the processes, which are the rules, the post-processing actions that you would like to take in case some content can, for example, not be delivered. And on the other side, it's the business data. All the information that you have about your customers, about your contacts, what is their preferred language, via which channel do they like to communicate with us, which product types are they interested in it. What are the last purchases that they did, for example? Combining these two worlds together, the campaign data and the business data, leads to highly personalized campaigns that you can send out to your recipients, which are very, very targeted content there. Also, in several studies, the result was that personalization is really a key in multi-channel campaigns. So we have our content, we have our business data, we want to deliver the content. We use the Papyrus Hub to address the different output channels. So we have the email channel, the printed document that we deliver via Postmail. We have the web, corporate portal, and so on. But which channel you really pick is up to you, or maybe up to the preferences of your customer. So in case you have the information that your customer likes to communicate with you via email, you would pick most probably the email channel. If you do not have this information available, you can define also business rules. So in which situation should which channel be addressed? So for example, for persons younger than 30, we deliver into the corporate portal. They get a notification on their smartphone. They can open the communication, see the content. For people over 30, we deliver it via email. For people over 60, we deliver, we print the document, and we send it. But of course, you can also combine multiple channels. We know from the feedback from some of our customers that combining different channels, like for example, sending an offer via the web channel, later on print the offer and send it to the customer, and in parallel inform the agent about this request, leads to a very high contract closing rate, up to 90%. Comparing when they use only one channel, like the traditional channel, for example, the closing rate for contracts is much lower. Let's have a look how easy it is really for the campaign manager to design such a process within Papyrus. He creates in his library a new process. We call it here multi-channel delivery. So he can reuse it also later on. And he starts using the process designer to compose this process. He has access to the library of predefined steps that he can use. For example, the step where he defines who is the sender of the campaign. This campaign should have a fixed content, so every time we execute it, we want to use the same content there inside. Is the language provided from the data? Is it provided during starting of the campaign? What are the mandatory parameters to run the campaign? The subject, for example. All this information he can define here, and later on, when he reuses the process from his library, he fills it out and starts it. Additionally, he defines also the channel. So he adds here a step for delivering the campaign via email, and using the natural language rules, he can define also to whom he delivers via email. He has access here again to the business data and can define that the communication should only be sent via email in case this is the preferred output channel of the customer. But he could combine it with any other conditions that he wants to define. Additionally, he adds the print channel there. So for persons who defined that the print channel is their preferred communication channel, they will get the campaign printed and sent via postmail. It was very easy. The next part in the campaign process is the segmentation and the sending. The segmentation is a very strategically important step in your campaign process, because you do not want to spam your customers. You want to generate highly personalized content and very targeted information that you send to your customers. On the other side, it has also an effect on the costs. If you do not deliver your printed campaign to everybody, but really to the persons where you expect some business activities from them, you can reduce also the cost by that. So what you want to do is, from your contact database, you want to slice and dice into segments and define for this group, I want to run this campaign process. For this target audience, I want to run a different one. And Papyrus offers here also a tool where you can do the segmentation of your contact database using natural language and business terminology. So you can define, I want to define a segment, for example, where only persons living in a certain country, having a certain age, that purchased, for example, last year a product from us, or they're interested in a certain product type, and you store a segment. And then you define the next one. Let's have now a look how easy it is also to execute such a campaign. So we do first the segmentation. On the right side, we get a preview of the recipients of our campaign, so who are the persons we are sending this communication to. And we start the campaign. We define an identifier, because maybe we want to make multiple mailings and have them grouped together underneath one identifier, and we define a start and an expiration date for the campaign. It might be that we use some content which is only valid for a certain time span. We select also the campaign process that we want to use. In this case, we use our discount card campaign process. We select the content that we want to deliver. And here we have the preview of the content that was previously designed with the Papyrus Business Designer. So we have the document preview, we have the preview of the web version that we generate, we have the preview of the email version that the customer will receive then. You would have access also to the text version. We define as a campaign manager the subject, and we start the campaign. While the campaign is running, we can monitor the progress and we see exactly in which step this campaign is at the moment. It might be that some campaigns require some interaction. On the receiving side, the customer gets the email into his mailbox, sees the content. We see the content adjusts also to the screen sizes very nicely. And we could place, for example, a link in this content that leads him to the corporate portal, which is where the content is protected with his credentials, and he has access to the web version of the document. As mentioned also in the previous presentation, in the web version, you have much more possibility to design your content, because you're not restricted to what the email clients support, but you can use features that all modern browsers support, like accordions, animated charts, tabs. Additionally, you could add the printed version as a PDF attachment and deliver it together with the email. But there is something more that you can do also in your campaigns. You can try to start new business in a campaign. So while we deliver a campaign for the sign-up to the global discount card, we could offer our customer, the recipient, also to request in this campaign a loan, for example. So he could, while he's having a look on the content that we delivered, he can easily fill out all the information that we require from him for requesting a loan. And the loan request would land at the customer representative who triggers all the required action to process with this business activity. We mentioned also already in the beginning that you do not want to test your content only for correctness, but you want to test also the performance of your content. This is done using the A/B testing. In the A/B testing, you perform the content in slightly different variations. So you pick, for example, a different subject. You pick, for example, a different wording, different colors, different images that you use in your emails. And you deliver first to a test group. So not to all recipients at once, but first to a test group of a defined size. And you wait and you see how good the content performs. How often is a link clicked? How often is the email opened? The A/B testing is just another process in Papyrus. It's another campaign process in Papyrus that can be designed by the campaign manager. So he has a step where he can define what is the test group size. And he can define two different paths within the process which are only valid for persons of a certain test group. So in one path, we follow only when the person is part of test group 1, and in the other part we follow when the person is part of test group B. When executing such a campaign, the campaign manager selects the campaign process, provides the subject for email variant A, for example, selects the content that he wants to deliver, gets, of course, also a preview of the content, and he would go and do the same for email variant B. There he maybe picks a bit more catchy subject. He picks another content with different colors, with different wordings there inside, with different images. But the main information which is transported is the same. And he executes the campaign. First, the persons of the test group will receive the emails, will start to have a look on them, open them, click links, execute certain business activities, for example, and all this can be fed back into the system, so that it's analyzing the performance of the different mailing contents. And after the defined time, can be a week, can be a few days, the better performing content is delivered to the rest of your recipients automatically. But what the big advantage in Papyrus that the A/B testing is only another campaign process is that you can do also A/B testing for other things. You could try to create test groups and time the sending of the campaign differently. So to one test group you deliver in the morning at 7 o'clock, to the other test group you deliver in the evening, for example. You see where you have better responses, depending on at which time of the day you send, and then to the rest of the recipients, you provide your content at a better time. Your campaign process doesn't necessarily need to end at this point in time. So you have defined your content, you have tested it, you have delivered the content to all of your recipients, and some customers did not respond, for example. So you want to create maybe another step in your campaign process. So you create a multi-step campaign. You define a timer, so you wait for a couple of days, for example, and to those persons that did not open the email yet, or did not trigger any business activity, did not reply to the email, to those we send out a reminder. And the definition of the reminder works the same like sending the initial content. So you select the subject that you want to use, you select the content that you want to deliver, and you add also the channel how you want to deliver. You could decide to switch to another channel, for example. So in the reminder, we send out via the print version, for example. So it's up to you. We mentioned in the beginning we do not want only to execute the campaign, but we want to analyze the results. How good did it perform? What are the business activities that we have based on this campaign? For that, we use the reporting solution. With the reporting solution, you can prepare dashboards where you access all the data that you have within Papyrus. If you need more data there, you can import it via the different adapters and interfaces that the platform offers. You could create dashboards related really to only to your delivery. So you'd check, for example, how often was the email opened? How often was it opened in certain countries, for example? If you identify that in one country or in one language, the content did not perform so good, you might want to change it. And on the other side, you can also try to relate it to your business activities. So you can see that via different channels, for example, we got a certain amount of loan requests, so the online channel performed in the best way, and we see an overview how many sign-ups for our global discount card did we had at this time. It still happens that content cannot be delivered. So when you print a document and you send it to your recipient, it might be that he moved. So you cannot reach him under this address anymore. An email inbox might be full. Or an email inbox might also not exist because the person you're sending the communication to works, for example, for a different company meanwhile. Especially for the print channel, this has also a cost effect. So if you're printing campaigns, sending them via post mail, and you do not reach your contact, you would like to be informed about it and maybe stop to deliver the content or pick another channel. If, for example, the email inbox is full, you want to resend the campaign after a certain period of time. So after a few days, you try again to deliver the campaign. But if the email inbox is not existing anymore, you might want to do something else. You want to maybe create a change request for a sales and marketing department to contact the customer by looking up in the CRM system. They will see all the communication that was done with this customer. So which campaign did he receive, which one was not deliverable. And they might have a marketing task associated to this customer to call him and clarify what is his new email address. So they would call him, check what is the new email address, go in the CRM system and directly modify also the email address. They could define then that this campaign should be resent maybe, so they create a new activity for the campaign manager, assigns this activity to him, and he resends the campaign. Or they could just say, okay, the new email address should be delivered during the next campaign. So what do we have with all of that? In principle, you have a fully integrated end-to-end process where you see exactly which steps were executed by whom, what was the content that we designed, which channel did we pick, who gave the sign-off for the campaign. So it's fully documented. You can later on access it in the system, see what happened, and you can learn from it. The big advantage is you can learn based on your experience that you do with campaign management, based on your customers, with your processes, with your content, and improve the success in your campaign activities. Thank you very much.
Well, Raphael, this is a very comprehensive solution you have presented here to everybody. And this, of course, leads to a couple of questions, as you can imagine.
Yes.
Actually, one of the customers is saying, well, we have already a campaign solution. Does it mean we can continue using it, or would you integrate with it?
Yes, so we saw in the initial slides that the different areas where the campaign management consists of. All these areas are very modular, so you could use certain parts of the campaign management and integrate it also with existing solutions. So you could use, for example, services for delivering emails. You could integrate, for example, to get the data about your contacts from another system into the system and do the query then on that. All this is possible.
Yeah, this customer says they have already a very satisfactory email campaign solution. So they could reuse that one partly or completely and add ours or the one that you have presented here.
Yes, so we would see which parts they really need, where they would like to improve, and what we can do with our Papyrus campaign management for them. It could be, for example, to lead the campaign, to lead the process of the campaigning.
Okay, perfect. And there's one more question, actually. It says here, it looks like a very big project, this whole thing. How easy is it to implement it?
It's not so big. So,
okay.
In principle, the campaign management solution can be set up it's usually a project within the time range of 2 to 3 months. Yeah? So we usually do a scoping in the beginning to really identify what are the needs of the business, of the customers. We go over to a proof of concept, where we test all the things, and then later on to the implementation phase in such a project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.